Welcome to the Forging Wellness Podcast, where we go beyond the basics of health and wellness to build stronger minds, bodies, and communities. I'm your host, Jesse Clark, a firefighter, paramedic, and coach with 19 years as a first responder. I have a passion for this job, for my family, and for truly enjoying life. But I'll be the first to admit I haven't always gotten it right. I've had my ups and downs, made mistakes, and learned some lessons the hard way. But that's what this podcast is all about, learning, growing, and forging a better path together. We're diving into mental and physical health, fitness, nutrition, sleep, leadership, real-world challenges, history, and what it truly takes to thrive. Whether you're a current first responder, aspiring to be one, retired, or the spouse of one, this is for you. Life is more than just making it through the day. Let's forge ahead together. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to Forging Wellness Podcast. My name's Jesse Clark. Super excited to have with us today Griffin Coiner, founder of Stache Salt and a firefighter in Utah. So Griffin, I've chatted with you over the past couple of days. Sounds like you're doing a lot. Just a pipe hitter for the fire service. And it sounds like your wife is also adding into this as well, just with the business that you guys have going on. So I think that we have a lot to unpack with you today and a lot of interesting questions that we'll get into. With that, Griffin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm super excited just to chat and talk all things fire, wellness, family. Those are all right up my alley. Faith, family, freedom. Those are kind of our core values, not just for Stache Salt, but our family. So it all ties together. But yeah, I'm Griffin Coiner. I'm the Stache Salt guy, as most people know me. I've been in the fire service since 2010. Started in Texas. I worked for a few departments there. Worked for a while. We ended up starting Stache Salt in 2017. It was kind of like a mad scientist experiment gone well. I just tried to make a few things just to see if I could do it. And instantly people said, how do I buy it? So my wife has been a huge part of Stache Salt. And as soon as that happened, I said, babe, we need a logo. So it needs a skull, a mustache, and a fire lid. She came up with the logo. She does all of our graphics, all the website stuff. But yeah, it was kind of the ultimate side gig, if you will. My old chief got diagnosed with cancer around the time that we started it. And it was kind of instantly just hey, this is a way just to give back to him and his family. We didn't have plans of growing this full-blown men's grooming company. I mean, it was more of a, like I said, side gig, fun experiment gone well. So that's still what we do. Our goal is still just to help first responders and their families. Worked in Texas for a long time, worked for one of the biggest departments there. Life was good. The world changed a bit over the past few years.
Yeah,
Basically,
just a little
yeah,
bit.
just a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, basically I was put in a position to do something I didn't want to do or to lie. I was put in a position where I was more encouraged to lie than I was to do the thing. And basically through some prayer that I'd been praying for about 6 months prior to that, I felt like God was just asking me just to walk away. So basically I was kind of forced to resign, walked away. Our whole world changed. We left our nice house in Texas, moved into a camper, went from a full shop doing Stache Salt to 5 yellow bins in a camper running Stache Salt on the road, traveled around, ended up in Utah. Here we are, man.
Okay.
The quick
Well,
down and
that's quite the
dirty.
story, Griffin. It's an encouraging one. Obviously, it's a challenging one as well because there's some adversity in there and there's some ugly truth in there too. Unfortunately, sometimes in the fire service and different locations, it might not always be the right thing and always challenging to make a decision that affects your family, affects something like your career that you've spent so much time and dedication to, especially one where you're serving people. You feel like you're doing God's work anyway. And so it's like, how can I move on from this? What do I move on to? And sounds like you listened, you jumped it, took a leap of faith, as you say, right? Your words for that. And I'm super stoked to dig into that a little bit more, just because that takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery. And it obviously takes probably a decent amount of communication with your wife, I would assume, to to have her be on board. I assume that she was probably very supportive. I mean, when you told her what was going on, I can only imagine that she was supportive of you making that choice, even though it was going to be a challenging one. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like I said, I worked for a department for a little while, ended up switching, going to like the big city. Everyone wanted to work in the big city, no ambulance, lots of fire, all that stuff. Life was good. And like I said, Stache Salt was really, it was the side gig. It was something cool that we got to do. We got to use it to help people. We made a little bit of extra money, but it was never about providing for our family. It was never about hey, look how cool we are. It was never about any of that. It literally was a happy accident that turned into a way to help people. So when all this was going on, we kind of saw the direction that the department was going. There was some emails sent about, hey, this is kind of the goal. And we had talked about it of like, hey, that's kind of the line in the sand that I'm not going to cross. I'm no saint, I promise you. I've lied plenty of times in my life. I'm just a regular dude, but I knew that that was something that I wasn't going to compromise on. So we had talked about it kind of like, hey, if it gets to that point, what do we do? And it was just I guess we're willing to walk away, or we're willing to take that consequence should it arise. So my prayer for about 6 months prior to this was specifically about Stache Salt. It was about life. I was really questioning, are we supposed to keep doing this? Is it supposed to grow? Is it supposed to just stay like this fun hobby thing where we can just, we have a little bit of extra freedom, we can help people? But my prayer specifically was, God, if you want this to grow, I want it to be explainable that only you made it happen. And he's like, cool, put your money where your mouth is. So I had already been in that state of mind of like, if it's going to cost me, like I'm going to try to walk on water. So showed up to the station just like any other day, sat down for coffee time with the boys, put my gear on the rig, hanging out. And here, oh, by the way, guys, today, now this is mandatory. And I had already made up my mind that that wasn't a road I was willing to go down. And
Yeah.
I said no. So they said, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And so what I was told next was, we don't actually care if you do it. This is all self-administered. Just make sure your name ends up on that paper. That's what I was told. So the fire service, we preach integrity, we preach honesty, we preach all these things. Maybe this was me being petty, but before I left, I said, this is every interview question ever. You're at the station and everyone's lying about something. You have an opportunity to do the right thing. What are you going to do? And every single one of us said that we would do the right thing. And let me just be very, very clear. I'm not bad mouthing a department. I'm not bad mouthing any members. I can only answer for my decisions and what I was called to do. I can't question what anybody else did or didn't do. That's not up to me. I can only answer for what I was supposed to do. So it got to that morning. Hey, if you're not going to do it, go get your stuff off the rig, go home. So back to the question, I called my wife. Hey, I'm on my way home. I guess this is what we're doing. She's like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. They started asking, hey, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? I said, do I still need to do that thing? They said, yeah. I said, I guess I'm not coming back then. So I was basically put in a position where I was kind of forced to resign. And in a big roundabout way, this was an answer to that prayer of, God, if you want this to succeed, I want it to be explainable that only you made it happen. Because now I had no choice, but like, I'm all in. And like I said, it was a little bit of money. We were able to give some, but it was never what provided for our family. So we were all hands on deck. Hey, I guess we're going all in on this thing.
Okay. So I think for me, a big takeaway that I hear out of that speaks volumes for the fire service, that is newer on the job, is conviction. You said it very well that you're not perfect. We all make mistakes. We've all had those lies, whatever. But for you and your family, what is your line in the sand? And you had conviction one way or the other on something, right? And holding true to who you are, because in the end, when everything goes away, that department's not there anymore. Whereas your spouse is going to be there, your family, your kids, those are the ones that are there, or whatever else you choose to have your core values or your convictions be about. And so what really resonates with me is that the conviction to hold to what's true to you, because in the end, that's all that you're essentially going to have no matter what. And it has nothing to do with the department, because the department's just a machine that keeps operating with or without us. We can be top-notch firefighters, and we should be, right? But we've all seen those legendary firefighters that the day that they retire, business as usual.
Yep.
So
Yeah, the seat's going to get filled, the call's going to get run, the emergency's going to get handled, and everything keeps moving. So
absolutely.
for me, like just to add on to that, we hear a lot about integrity in the fire service. It's a thing that a lot of people like to talk about or have their definition of. And so I'm actually on our interview board now for where I work now. But that was one of the questions: what is integrity?
Yeah.
And just a common answer, just across the board of everybody, is doing the right thing when no one's looking. That's kind of just like a catch-all definition of integrity. For mine, I added a little bit to it. It's deciding ahead of time what you're going to do in that circumstance, even if it costs you something. So, because it's real easy to get into a circumstance and be emotional one way or the other of like, oh man, like I really want to do the right thing, but all my buddies are going this way, so I'll go with the flow. It's real easy to do that, but I think part of it is deciding ahead of time that I'll do the right thing no matter what the cost.
I like that. So let's get into your background a little bit more. So before ever getting into the fire service, you were building off-road race trucks. What pulled you from that into the fire service?
Working on cars, working on trucks, going off-roading, being in the desert, off-roading, camping, all that stuff has always been a huge part of what I've enjoyed. And we still do that a lot. But I think it was more, I guess, of like a hobby type thing that was like, man, I can do this hobby and get paid to do it. But I don't think it was a long-term thing as far as just living the race lifestyle or all that kinds of stuff. Like I had buddies that got opportunities to go build sand cars in Dubai and off-road cars over there and stuff like that. But like I said, I've been with my wife since I was 16, she was 15. That wasn't something that wanted to split, or it wasn't worth it going down that road. But the fire service was something that I knew I always wanted to be a part of it. It was always something that was special to me. So I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I don't want to call off-road racing or trucks and all that like a detour, but kind of, so.
Okay. So let's get into Stache Salt a little bit. So I'm going to dig into the mad scientist experiment here in just a second, but let's talk about mustaches in the fire service, maybe a little bit of history about the mustache in the fire service and why that seems to be important in the fire service.
Yeah. To the mad scientist experiment, to that tradition, to the history of the fire service. We know the history of the mustache and the beards right before they had masks, where they would actually wet their mustache or beard before they would go in a building filled with smoke or fire or whatever, and they would actually use that as like their breathing apparatus, right? Like that was their original smoke filter.
Yes.
So it was kind of an iconic image of the old classic firemen, the old dudes that got after it. With that, I've always kind of appreciated and honored that past of the fire department and the history. So when I started at my first department, I don't know, I feel like I was a kid. No shave November, everybody comes, hey, everybody's growing a mustache, blah, blah, blah. While on probation, I didn't even want to grow a mustache. I was like, I don't feel like I've earned it yet until I'm off probation. I just kind of had that mentality of like, you got to earn it kind of thing. I don't know if that's still true. I don't know if anyone else has that mentality except me, because they're like, no, man, it's fine. I was just like, in my head, it was just like, no, like, I'll have my time. I'll get there. So anyways, get off probation. Now I'm a big salty 1 year guy, right? So now I can grow one. But so I decided just to grow one. I'm gonna do it. And I was like, all right, I guess I gotta figure out what to do to take care of this thing now. It was more my wife, actually. She's like, she bought me a tin of something. I don't even remember what it was, but she's like, here, there's a thing called mustache wax. And she got me one. I messed around with it a little bit. There was a few different ones, and I was at a training with a buddy of mine, and he was just like, hey, why don't you just make your own? So I was like, huh, okay. So I kind of looked into it a little bit and found a few recipes, did a few mad scientist experiments, and came out with a couple that turned out they were pretty good. I started giving them to my crew members and other guys I knew, and it's kind of just started spreading around a little bit, and people just wanted to buy it.
Okay.
I started just making more and more recipes and kind of just experimenting more and more. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't want to say a way to honor the past, or like, I don't think having a mustache makes you a good fireman, or have not having one makes you a bad one, right? Like, that's not the point. But I do think a lot of us firefighters love the fire service. We love what it represents. We love the serving. We love the opportunity to give back with our time, skills, all that kinds of stuff. And it's kind of a way for us to identify with the fire service. Hey, I'm a part of this, and it's a part of me, and people take pride in that. Our motto for this year is honoring tradition and forging the future. So we're honoring where we've all been while trying to take parts of that and create a new good future.
So why the name Stache Salt? I mean, I could probably take a stab at that and figure it out, but I want to hear it from you. Why the name Stache Salt?
Yeah, back to that same like sort of history and thinking about those same guys. It was like those are the salty old guys, and if you want a stash, you want it to be salty like those guys. And it was just, it kind of just clicked. I didn't really have like a big master brainstorming session. It was just like, well, this is salt. Like, it's gonna make your mustache salty like those old guys. It's Stache Salt. So it kind of just stuck, and it just clicked. It was just the right thing.
You can get pretty detailed with how much you want to take care of your mustache
Yeah.
and how you want it to look, if you want it to hold a certain way. In a sense, like females end up having to do with their hair, take care of it so that it doesn't get the split ends, and we're not necessarily dealing with that. But you've developed a lot of product for this. You turned it into a men's grooming company. So how did it grow into that? How did it go from just something to kind of hold your mustache in place to the full line of product?
Yeah, a lot of it was just experimenting and trial and error again. Like, hey, just because I can glue this thing to my face doesn't necessarily mean now it's healthy. So, like you said, it's just another part of the body. And if our goal kind of developed into not just having a mustache, but having a healthy mustache, it's all related, right? Healthy everything if we can. Like I said, when we got into this, I had no plans of this whole entire grooming company, and we're going to have mustache stuff. We're going to have stuff to take care of your face. We're going to have stuff for your hair and shaving and all that kinds of stuff. But if you're going to do it well. So we kind of developed a way to keep everything healthy. We know there's different styles, guys that want to twist it all the way up, guys that have it down, guys that like just want like a nice military in regs stash. So there's lots of styles, lots of different preferences. So we kind of just wanted to hit all those benchmarks for people.
The options that you have on here are awesome. I will make sure to share that website on the podcast. The question then that I have for you is, with all of the stuff that you have on here, you originally did this out of a way to give back to the fire service. You said the chief of your old department had cancer, and then this was a way to give back to him, I would assume, just in the form of the sales that you brought in got donated to his recovery. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I ended up reaching out to our other chief and was like, hey, we did this thing. Is there a way we can come to the Christmas banquet and just present him with the check? Like, bring his family up and just let him know that we care for him and we love him and we're here for him. And that's basically how it started.
Okay. Now let's take that a step further. How has that portion of Stache Salt grown into what it is today?
That's still the mission, is to give back to first responders and to their families. At the beginning, just the first responder, because that was who I knew. That was my family. That was my friends. That was my brothers. But we've taken it, I guess, a step further of we want healthy families too. So what we've done for a long time is we've taken a portion of sales and set it aside. And then when we find or hear about someone in need, we'll either come alongside them and do a donation. We've done stuff for children of firefighters. Say there's been too many, unfortunately, but guys where their kids are diagnosed with cancer, and obviously kids have no use for mustache wax, but we want to come alongside these families. We want to let them know we're here for them. So I'll reach out to them and talk with the kiddos and find out what their favorite ice cream flavor is. Once we find that out, we've created custom chapsticks in that flavor, and we'll do it with like a little caricature of the kid and do fundraisers that way, selling chapsticks and then donate it to the family that way. We've done stuff for family members with breast cancer. We've been real involved with Next Rung since the beginning. Us and Next Rung basically started about the same time. Blake and Charlie are good friends of mine. So that's just another way, because we know not everything is physical wellness. We need mental, we need spiritual, we need all of that wellness together. So Next Rung, those have been people that we've helped with for a long time, whether it's paying for treatments or just donating to their causes. We go out to their battle for mental health, sponsor that event. So yeah, like I said, this never started as this big idea to do all these things, but it was just, hey, it's what we can do with what we have. I know me personally, I feel guilty sometimes of like, well, I want to do more. And I think a lot of people do that as we compare to where other people are in their journeys. And like we see Black Rifle, right? Like donating $100,000 at a time to these causes or whatever big company. And we're like, man, I want to do that, but I'm not there yet. But it's just staying true to the mission of doing what we can with what we have and trying to do it well. So
I'm interested in the shirt that you have on right now. Send me. Talk to me a little bit about that one.
send me. So I got out of the fire service when I left that department. I thought I was going to be done. I was like, I guess I did my time and this is what God's asking me to do. I'm just the Stache Salt guy now, but I want to stay involved with the fire service. I'm obviously very passionate about serving others and building others up. I really want to see other people succeed. So it's a verse in the Bible, Isaiah 6:8. There's a whole big story. He goes to the throne room of heaven and he's talking with God, and like he sees people struggling and people needing help, and he's like, well, who will I send? And Isaiah said, well, send me, like I'll go. And I think in the fire service, we have an obligation, we have a duty to serve others, to rescue others, all that kinds of stuff. Not just in burning buildings, but to be there for people on their worst days. And that's just kind of a mentality, a slogan that I want us to all have, of being willing to be that person.
That obviously has such a deeper meaning to it, but that is what we signed up for. We all want to be the ones going, making that rescue. And so I think that reminder for me is just, it's really awesome. And regardless of whatever path you ended up going in the fire service, that's still our number one goal, because that's what we took an oath to do. We want to honor that oath. So I love it. I won't ramble too much on it, but I like it a lot. So jumping around a little bit here, was there a point when you were on the road, when you were in the camper for a year and a half, driving around, when something hit you and you're like, yep, I made the right choice because of this?
I wouldn't say there was one point or like one defining moment. Like I said, I felt like that was a big prayer for a long time. And through that, walking on water, through all the places we ended up, like we didn't have a plan of let's go travel here, let's go do this, let's go sightsee, let's take this route. It was kind of just like a free for all of like, I don't know, let's just see what happens. And I felt like God kept confirming our obedience by like just the next place we would end up, there would be some sort of conversation or some sort of confirmation or some sort of like appointment that we couldn't have planned. I promise I'm not that good of a planner. I'm not that good of like a super organizer, but we kept running into these people. We kept following basically like these events that we got invited to, stuff that we couldn't have planned out even if we tried. And it was just like over and over again, like you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now.
Not a defining moment, but overall a progression. So fast forward to where you are now, back to being a firefighter, running Stache Salt. Sounds like actively involved in a number of things with your current department and cadre, with other businesses that are out there training other firefighters. Balance is always a big thing with wellness. How do you balance all of that?
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, our core values are faith, family, freedom, in that order, no matter what, every time. So all of them work together and all of them are incorporated together as long as they're kept in the right priority. So with that, running Stache Salt, that is something that we do as a family. My wife is heavily, heavily involved, especially if I'm on shift. So it's kind of something we do together, traveling around, going to all these conferences, going to trainings, all that kinds of stuff. So when we talk about kind of the heart to serve, that doesn't end at me. That's something that my wife is very passionate about too. So she's kind of taken on the role of snack mom of the fire service. So we go to these conferences. I set up our Stache Salt booth. We bring our dog and kids, and we just show up with drinks and snacks. And we've got in touch with Fire Department Coffee. Has been super helpful. They sent us coffee, and we just basically set up a hydration station for all the people training for the week. And so it's something we do together. It's something that is obviously tough, lots of travel, lots of time on the road. There's still shift work and all that kinds of stuff. So I don't think there is a perfect balance. I think you have to understand the priorities and then work from there, knowing what's important.
Yeah.
But having them involved in everything, not just Stache Salt, but in the fire service, all the stuff that I'm super passionate about, helps them understand the why and have buy-in. I talk to a lot of dudes, they're like, oh man, my wife would never come to a fire conference, or oh, my girlfriend thinks that like she hates it because I'm always gone. I say, well, have you tried inviting her? And it's always, oh, right? Like, because I think for a long time, doing fire department stuff was kind of the boys' club. It was like, oh, this is my weekend away to go do stuff. And I think to an extent, that's a part of it, the brotherhood, forging those relationships, suffering together, growing together. But I think building healthy and strong men starts with our families, and incorporating them into what we're doing only strengthens that.
This came up in my last episode with Brian Yonkin. We talked a lot about family, bringing family into the firehouse, and that culture really has shifted because we want sustainable families. We want families that are going to endure throughout your career as a firefighter. I think it is super cool that you pose that question for people because it's not something that people always think about. And the other neat thing that I find interesting is, well, for you at this point, because how long has Stache Salt been going on? How long have you been in business?
7.5 years. So
Okay, so right in the middle of your kids. One of them wasn't born yet. The
yeah,
other one was pretty little by the time it started. So they probably don't know much different other than just going with you to some of these conferences and being part of it. They probably love it because, I mean, firefighters are dorks with kids. Like, we love
yeah,
when kids come by the stations and whatnot. So I'm sure they have to love parts of it. I'm sure it can get old for them just like anything else, but
yeah. Yeah, it's just like anything. Like if it's normal to them, like sometimes they're super exciting. Some days they're like, oh, why are we waking up early again to drive to this conference to go? We're gonna just
yeah.
go run around all day and you're gonna go do your thing. But I think overall they enjoy it. Like I was teaching our recruit class this week, and they came by and just watched the recruits for a little bit. And I was teaching search to our recruits all this week and talking about, hey, that's somebody's family member that you're searching for. Pretend like it's your family member, just hammering the importance of why we search, getting that mentality, and then showing them like, hey, my family is coming to see you guys do this because they want you to be good at this. They care about you. They're investing in you. So just using it as another way to teach as well, and just to express the importance. Like that's not just a dummy on the ground, right? That's somebody's loved one. So, and when you actually put a face to it, I think it helps it click a little bit.
I agree. I think to go back to one of the original question that sparked some of this and finding balance that I've seen after talking with all the people that I brought on the podcast and just all my interactions is balance looks different for everybody. And that does
Absolutely.
come through just some communication and figuring out what works for you and your spouse, your unique situation. I guess my takeaway from what you're saying would be don't be afraid to ask if your spouse wants to join you, if your kids want to join you, and encourage them to be involved in your journey. Be excited for them to be involved in your journey because it speaks to a lot more when you bring your kid into the fire department, into the station, they meet your crew, And then they also get to see you run out on calls, or like you were saying, with them coming to the recruit academy and seeing you teach people that, and that we are putting emphasis behind you are actually looking for somebody's family members when you're doing this. It speaks volumes to the kiddos to let them know why we do what we do, why it's important, and why we are gone for 2 days at a time, or whatever your shift ends
Yeah.
up being. We're not just disappearing for 2 days. There is reason behind it. I think that goes a long ways for our kids' mental health as well, and our spouses potentially, that they know that there's something more to it.
Yeah, it's more of a visual of I'm not just coming to the station for the same station tour and seeing you guys in the bay, taking a picture on the front of the engine, seeing everybody sit down and watch TV or have dinner or whatever. Like, you guys are actually here for a purpose. And I think especially letting them see you out training or on the drill ground and stuff, like they're like, that's what you do? Like,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Like, that is special. And I just think they get a different point of view of than just like my dad's at the station walking around with his buddies.
Totally. Okay, so let's get into a few final things here, Griffin. So, vision for Stache Salt moving forward. You got any exciting plans you want to share?
Yeah, Stache Salt worldwide. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna keep growing. The goal is just to keep growing in a point that we can just help more and more. We're in, I don't want to say a good groove right now of shift work plus having training plus incorporating Stache Salt. Like, we're very blessed right now to be able to travel to these conferences and be able to give back in that way as well. I want to continue doing that, but obviously just keep growing and just I really want to keep providing people with good products. I believe in, if we start our mentality right, when you get to whatever job, like, you don't have to be a fireman to use Stache Salt. We're obviously, we are for everybody. We sell it to anybody and everybody. But I think mentally, if you're taking care of yourself, you're taking pride in your appearance, you're taking pride in what you do,
Yeah.
you're going to perform better at the end in
So,
whatever capacity that is. So I want people to show up professional, ready to go, put together in a way that they're ready to serve with excellence, whatever it may be. So I want to just keep growing that and pushing that and spreading the mission of helping as many people as we can.
I think we can tell a lot of times when somebody looks presentable, when they decide to show up in the morning and they are squared away. And it might be like you have to get to work to do that, depending on how, your schedule shakes out, running kids around to get them to school, whatnot in the morning before, whatever it might be. So there's some people that have to make that happen once they get there. There's some people that make it happen beforehand. But those people that show up and take accountability for looking presentable, it's not just about following the regulations of you need to be clean shaven and just look presentable overall. And we need to carry this professional demeanor, which is a whole another conversation behind uniforms and whatnot. But the way that I carry myself, the way that I present myself when I show up at work, people typically know and understand that they can trust me, and that I clearly am taking care of myself to make sure that I can do the job that I'm there to do. When somebody shows up and actually shows that they have pride in themselves, they're probably taking care of the other things as well while at work.
Absolutely. I was telling our recruits this week, just because it's fresh on my mind, like, the little things are the big things. The little things add up to make doing the big things possible. So little habits turn into big habits.
Griffin, what's the best way for people to connect with you and to support Stache Salt?
To connect, we're on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. Send us a message, send us an email. I try to be really good about responding to messages. You saw this week was chaos. I was a little delayed,
Yeah,
like
it happens.
4,000 messages behind, but I try my best to really get back with people, whether they're asking about an order or a product or whatever. I really care about. We're not just some giant conglomerate.com. You're talking to a computer thing. We're real people and we want to get you taken care of. So send me a message and it'll be me responding to you. send an email to be my wife for me. And then stachesalt.com. That's where we have all of our stuff. We have all the cool products, all the cool swag, all the station flags, all the mustache extravaganza accessories you can think of.
What if somebody just wants to donate to the cause of what you guys are doing and help support first responders who might be struggling with something or going through something? Best way to get plugged in with that? Same way, just reach out, send a message.
Yeah. Reach out. I don't have a thing on our website where it's just like a continual donation. Like with everything, we want to be accountable for when we say we're going to do something, we want it to actually go to that. So I don't just have like a running fund of like donate $10 here, donate $10 here. But we do those campaigns somewhat regularly, whether it's for Next Rung or a family that is sick or something like that, whether it's like the kids or whatever. So the best way to follow all that is through our social medias, and just stay up to date on whatever the current thing is, whatever the family in need is. That's usually the best way, because as we do those, we give all the information on how to stay involved on it.
One final question for you, Griffin. Final thoughts and advice for listeners who feel called to take a leap of faith like you did, but in their own lives.
I would say just be all in, whatever it is. There's a book that I've read a few times called The Dream Giver. Basically, there's a lot going on there, but it talks about when you get to these points in your life and you're ready to level up or whatever, you're ready to take this leap of faith, you're ready to start a new chapter. There's going to be people called border bullies that are going to basically encourage you to stay where you are, right? We live in the land of familiar and stuff like that. And it's real easy to get discouraged. It's real easy to get distracted. I would say if you're feeling called or you know you're supposed to do it, go all in, go for it, and be confident in that. And no matter what the border bullies say, no matter how comfortable it was where you were, just keep going. Don't quit. Don't let the uncertainty discourage you. If you're decided you're going to go for it, don't quit.
Okay. Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
Yes.
I love what you're doing. I love the message behind you and everything that you've built, and plus being with the fire department. You have an affiliate program, and so that is something that I will sign up for. So my affiliate link after that will be posted here with this podcast episode, just to kick some more stuff your way, just because I think what you're doing is awesome. So thank you for doing that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Griffin, thank you so much for your time today in this episode of Forging Wellness. And I look forward to chatting with you in the future and seeing what we can come up with. That's it for this episode of the Forging Wellness podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. Your support keeps this mission going. Want to help us grow? Consider making a donation. Every bit helps us bring more impactful content your way. Follow us on Instagram at Forging Wellness 208 and check us out on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of the journey. Keep forging your wellness, and we'll see you next time.